Happy Monday, y'all. It is November 16th, 2020. It's time for another edition of your Monday Market Minute with me, Chance Hammock of Coldwell Banker Realty. Hey, I want to talk to you about pre-approval process here real quick. I've had a few buyers ask about it lately. Notably, hey, why is it so important? Why do you keep asking me to do this? And there are a few important reasons. The first, and this is going to sound kind of silly, is it tells you the buyer that you are a serious buyer. And your first thought probably is, well, I'm talking to you about buying a house. Of course I'm serious. And let me explain that here real quick. So I've shown them, a few buyers in the past, homes who weren't pre-approved. They ended up seeing a home, they loved it, said, hey, this is great, this is the house we want. Let's make an offer. And I'll say, great, it's time to get that pre-approval done now. And they'll say, oh, okay. Well, okay, let's think about that for a second. And then they end up not getting it for whatever reason. But essentially, they found out that they weren't a serious buyer. They were just looking. And what's happened before is it came down to, well, 30 years is a long time, or we might be moving in a couple of years anyway. Something happened there in the background, and they realized they weren't serious buyers anymore. And that happened when it became time to get that pre-approval process. The pre-approval also will tell buyers, once you have it, how much house can you afford, what's your monthly payment going to be. You can afford $400,000, but this is your monthly payment. Let's maybe you want to keep that closer to $350 or $300 to keep that monthly payment more comfortable where you are. And that's what a lender will be able to do. Is there's some variables there, but they can tell you pretty closely to what your monthly payment will be. So that's a pretty big reason. And a second reason is it tells sellers that you as a buyer are serious buyers. Whenever I get a listing and my sellers review the offers, I say, all right, before we accept this, let me call that lender. Let me check on see how good those buyers are. Maybe they're through underwriting. And there's some questions that I ask too. One of the questions I'll ask is, hey, how many homes have these buyers offered on, and have they canceled on any homes? And if they've canceled on any homes that they've been under contract on, that's a potential red flag that my sellers need to know about. Say, hey, these sellers A here, or buyers A here, they've been under contract twice, but they've canceled. And it was supposedly due to home inspection, but maybe they aren't quite as serious as we want them to be. So it's good for sellers and listing agents to be able to call that lender and interview them to learn more about those buyers, to let the sellers know how serious of buyers they are. So those are some pretty big, pretty important reasons to get that pre-approval, and why it's one of the first things that I always ask my buyers about. I've got some great lenders. One of the things I tell my buyers to do as well is, hey, shop that pre-approval around. Make the lender work for you. You may be able to get better closing costs or a better rate, but don't get just one. Get two or three. It is a bit time intensive, but in the long run, it's definitely worth it. It's been worth it for me and for several other buyers as well. All right. Now that we've talked about buyers, let's have a buyer-centric number here real quick. I usually focus on Utah real estate numbers, but I saw a number over the weekend that from the National Association of Realtors. So this is the national numbers, but I think they're great. Just a really good snapshot. So I'll throw them up right here. That's a bit small. I'll go ahead and make that big here real quick so we can kind of look at that whole graph. And all right, so I think, to me, and everybody may be different on this, but to me, the most interesting thing here is that line at the bottom, which is first-time home buyers, and that goes back about 40 years. And for the last 30 years or so, that number's been pretty consistent between 30 and 33. You can see we had a dip there in 91, but other than that, it's been 30 to 33. Those other two numbers, that middle one there is all buyers, and that top number there is for repeat buyers. So anybody who's not buying their first home, second, third, fourth, whatever home or investment property, that's what that's for. And it's interesting how that number has ticked up, and there's not enough data here to tell me why that is. And I'm not an economist. I've got a few guesses, but I think that's really interesting for first-time home buyers. I'll get first-time home buyers who are in their 30s, early 30s, and say, oh, we're so old buying our first home. And I've told them before that the average home buyer is in their 30s, and I've got this to fall back on now to say, hey, look, you're right in line with the national average. So you're never too old or too young to buy that first home. So, whenever you're ready to buy that first home or that second home, or you're ready for your first investment property, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help you out. My number is 801-872-4318. You can call or text that, or chance.hammock@utahhomes.com. And if you just want to check out the MLS, look at the inventory right now, go to chancehammock.com. I've got the MLS right there, and you can see everything that's active right now. All right, y'all. Hey, thanks so much. Have a great week.